And today is the 19th of March, and we're in Quantum Burst, and we're just chit-chatting a little bit and starting to check in. So let's check in. I guess I'm not going to necessarily my check-in, but this time, 39 years ago, I was moments away from giving birth the first time.
Wow.
So, and you'll be 39 tomorrow. That's hard to believe since I feel 39. Yeah. So, who's doing what? How are you? Checking in, saying hey. We skipped last week because we were at the robotics competition. I'm glad we skipped because there's no way we could have been home by that. It would have been, this was not going to happen. So that was very curiously interesting. So anyway, it feels like we've been months since we skipped a week. So Linda, you're unmuted. Why don't you get us started?
There. I'm not sure I'm present yet.
All right.
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually really good. The main thing that's going on for me is I just earlier today saw a YouTube video from this woman, and I don't know her name right now, Nancy something, but a channel who channels angels, and it was one of those things I just sort of turned on, flipped by or came up on my feed, but God, it was so fascinating. Her talking about the this upcoming solar eclipse and the fact that it's here, there's a cross section between the one that came earlier and this one that's coming. It's like there's a lot happening in this part of Texas. And so it was just fascinating. She was very clear, and she had her angels recordings from things from 2020 and 2021 where they were saying, get prepared, and now her most recent one was be prepared. And it was just very, that there was a thing called I wish I had I'll remember what I need to know. There was a part about a 3-day blackout coming, and that it was not for she explained how it's to our advantage of not having technology and electricity and all of that for a period of time, because it will assist us in recognizing our inner resources and becoming more clear about how the changes that need to happen, and that it will bring the people together, just in this sense of recognizing the healing that the earth needs to be doing in order for us to continue on. And so it was fascinating to me. And so I've just spent the last half hour talking with my twin sister about it. And that's really what's going on for me. Just sort of an excitement about, that a lot of things happening. It's early April 8th is the solar eclipse, but things happen 6 months before and 6 months after with a big event like this. And so it just, she was so positive and so encouraging, and it was just really delightful, and inspiring. I felt really, I found that place in me that has been excited about being alive during this transition, that we're all in. And I've been so focused on this little tiny part of my life that it's been hard to really expand into that. And so I'm really excited that I watched that, and I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. I think there's so much wrapped around in this eclipse. Kate, are you guys in the, you're not in are you, Kate? Because I know
Trajectory.
Austin is and we are, but you're not.
We
You're a
aren't
little
straight
bit.
in it. We're going to get like 75%,
That'll
I
still be
think.
cool. That's what we had a couple
Yeah.
of years ago when we had it here.
That's what we had last time too.
Yeah.
In Carbondale and a couple places a little further south, they are straight on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Cool. So since I got you talking, why don't you give us a check-in?
Okay, let's
Sneaky,
see.
huh?
Yeah, that was kind of manipulative.
No.
Just kidding. Um, a little earlier today, I was like, oh my God, do I have enough energy? I've got to get my energy back. So I had a nice salad for dinner, a little drink, not alcoholic, but fluid. Perked myself up a little bit to make it through quantum burst, and then I'm going to go crash. Very busy weekend. I had a delightful visit from, I can't believe these friends of mine come to Decatur, Illinois, so that they can include me when they could go anywhere. So one friend from Costa Rica, one from Florida, one from New Mexico, and one from Missouri all came back again to Decatur, Illinois, so we could spend a weekend together. And this time, last time we got an Airbnb in Decatur that turned out to be quite disappointing, actually. This time we got an Airbnb in Clinton, which is like 20 miles down the road, which was delightful. Just delightful. It was a beautiful old house, beautifully preserved, but made very accessible because several people among the group can't go up to second floors and can't climb a bunch of stairs onto a deck. And it had a completely accessible bathroom.
Hmm.
And we needed 4 bedrooms and something accessible. That is so hard to find. So it was lovely. It was a lovely space. And every time we get together, I don't know, it's a deeper share. And this time everybody brought some activities or something, or so, I mean, everybody brought certain things, and certain people cooked certain things, and I don't know, it was just so delightful. Now they want to come back in the fall. Now I'm going to tell them, because I just feel like I need to tell them this. Look, you guys, some of the time, why don't you go somewhere else where you can go be at the ocean? Because I know they would love that. And I'm not going to have like terrible hurt feelings if I'm left out, because I'm not left out. But I just I just see Vicky, you know, leaving from New Mexico, and she's got a guest house where everyone could stay at her house, just because I don't travel well. So I'm going to try and gently give them permission to not always have to come to Decatur. Um, but it's lovely that they want to. It's just lovely. These are all people that I worked with when I worked for my last few years before I did the epilepsy grant. I was working for a national company, and these are all people from that. And we call them the real people because it's gone rogue now, and it doesn't have real people there anymore.
Mhm.
But anyway, so that was lovely. Today, we have just been so busy. Today I got the taxes ready because we're about to do the taxes. So it's just been like boom, 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 boom. And our friends that were here at the house a couple weeks ago, I'm going to send you a picture just for your enjoyment of our raised garden that the tree landed on last year
Oh, yeah.
that took the power out. It used to be like this, and now it's like this. And it's slowly, we thought we'd start to take bets on when it's going to actually fall completely over. But when our friends were here, they checked it to see if they could repair it, and they don't think they can. But it's going to be a heck of a thing to get rid of that and all the dirt
Mm.
and get everything done. So they're coming down maybe this weekend to work on that project. So we're just like ba-boom, 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 ba-boom around here with just things. We did though. And Nancy, I'm going to send this to you. We went to the Tapping World Summit again this year, and we bought it again. And once you buy it, you can send it by email to other people who might like to see it. And so we've been making time for doing stuff like that because we need to, because it's just busy. And Shirley's leaving in a couple weeks for 10 days in Connecticut to babysit. And then she'll be doing 2 weeks in June and 2 weeks in August. And My littles are coming up next week to visit for their birthday, and I just got the last wooble done today. So the bags are, but and you remember my little nephew that gave me that box of superheroes to make for him for Christmas?
Yes.
Well, I was gonna, for their birthdays, I was gonna make them these woobles out of the superhero thing, right? Okay, so I took it out and started. The feet are like this big,
Oh, no.
and there's little legs. So my fingers that have arthritis in them are not able to crochet at such a tiny, tiny, tininess. So I said to my niece, I was going to have those done, a couple of those done for when you come, but it's going to take me longer because it's just so tiny and so close. And my niece goes, "Would you need bigger yarn?" And I said,
That would help. How
I'm
about
like,
figures?
why don't you buy the yarn? I said I thought about that because I had actually, when I got it, it had the yarn for 2, but it had the directions for 12. So I bought this thing I got from Walmart. It's very small yarn that had like 48 tiny things of yarn, but that would be enough of the different colors that I would need to do all 12. Because so she said, "Do you need bigger yarn?" I'm not buying 50 skeins of yarn of assorted colors to make little tiny figures. That will not be happening. But I will get the 2 done for him and the 2 little dogs done for her, and we'll see where we go from there. And my niece is in the meantime, she's the one that I now am invited to make a wooble for her every month too. The grown up. Yeah. And last month I did not send her a wooble donut. So she borrowed her little girls to take to work. So yeah, I'm working on her donut next so that Corey can have hers back. Anyway, it's just a bunch of busyness, and um I'm looking forward a lot to some quiet coming up. But having Cindy and Rob here, they're like magicians, and they get rid of a bunch of stuff and they move a bunch of stuff and they help you organize a bunch of stuff. And their energy is so good that you're behind them doing stuff too. So many things are so much better organized here than they were before, and on the road towards being even better organized. And that just feels good. We have people that come and clean every other week. So now that our basement's been redone and it's all fancified, we talked to them today about once a month having part of their cleaning be down there, because before nobody was really down there. So, so anyway, we're evolving. We're evolving. The daffodils are blooming here. It was snowy today, but gorgeous. And spring is in the air. And I need a rest, though. That's all I can say.
Sounds like it.
I need a rest. Okay.
Awesome. Lots going on. All right, Steve or Nancy?
I guess I have to figure out how mine works. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
No earbuds, no headset, so it's just kind of using computer sound.
Okay. Seems to work.
Okay, good. Things are going well. I mean, my current manager at work is departing for points elsewhere, and which is a real shame because she's been an absolute champion of mine, and I just got a promotion 2 weeks ago. Nice increase, uh, bonus amounts that look nice. Just some really nice recognition for a job well done, and at a time when not a whole lot of people are getting that kind of thing, just from a monetary point of view. So it was good. It's good to get that. Maybe being there. Being there a little bit more tolerable than it had been from time to time. And, let's see. Oh, in that same vein, where she's going, there may be an opportunity at some point in the future for someone with my skills to do part-time contract work, which was a real nice option to think about and consider. So we'll see how that evolves over time, and not be a way to leave the work world without really, a severe change in direction. So that's one thing looking at. Had a call with Annie on Sunday. She's well, what is she doing? She has her challenges, physical challenges still, and but it seems like from a mental perspective that things may have had a little bit of a shift. She announced to us that she's dating and still trying to work on the divorce that her spouse or ex-spouse is dragging his heels over. But she still is dealing with her physical stuff, and it sounds like it's going to be a lifelong thing for her now. But it sounds like I don't know, maybe Nancy may have a different view, but it almost sounded to me like she had her head wrapped around it more from an accepting point of view than this is going to be a burden forever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to put something out there that's not there. We'll see. Still enjoying the physical activity that I'm doing all the days a week and all that. So that's good. They feel like it's keeping me much younger than the years that are racked up on my odometer. So that's good that I can still do that. See people from time to time who are my years or more or less, and they're less capable of getting around and moving about. So I think that's all I've got for now.
Awesome.
You talking about me? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, as one of the people moving around less. Okay, where am I? Okay, on some good news stuff, I had to have for those of us with fair skin, you know how we have to get everything checked, and I had some stuff removed last week, a basal cell carcinoma thingy, and they cut that out, which is fun. I told Steve, I said, I just like to not be carved on for the rest of the year. I want people to not come toward me, even though they numb me, and they just don't. But the good news is it came out fine. It looks like they got it all. So that was, I didn't expect anything different. I really hadn't even worried about it. It wasn't in my radar to even have it. So that was good news. Had a trip out to see my kids, for Strider play. And it was joyful and funny and quirky. And I don't remember if I told Eliza this or somebody, it was a play I'd never heard of. It'd been on Broadway, and it was a PG-13. And I think because his music director is retiring, they went to the PG-13. And it covered, I think about living in Texas and how this just would not happen right now. Very open about kids that are LGBT. Strider was one of two that were gay dads to this one young woman, and people of all over. They talked about sex. They talked about erections, because that's a part of it, because they're like 13-year-olds, and it's just, I looked at it the first night and went, really? Really? That's not the musical I was expecting, but then the next, I went 3 nights in a row, and each night I saw these kids are so beautifully talented. And I went out and listened to the Broadway version of it. And I got to tell you, they probably had a handful of kids that were, I think, equal to Broadway. They were superb. So it was joyful to share that experience with them. And navigating the airport, I made the comment that I had rehearsed it in my brain ever since last November when I didn't go. And this time, the only thing I didn't take into consideration is that they've expanded Denver Airport. It's even bigger now, but my sister has a phrase that she said she got from my mom that says to always look for the helpers. And, you know, I'm one of those that's independent and I'll trudge through and I can be limping or whatever. And I am not going to bother anybody and I'll just get there. And I didn't do that this time. There were 2 times that I needed to ask for some guidance and assistance was offered. I didn't even really have to ask for the assistance, it was offered. So traveling was, how can I say that? It was tiring, but delightful. And it felt good to get out of Dodge. It's only Kate, we can only imagine when we're used to in our past going more often and now we're not. You know, I was reading that post that you did today about the cloud, and I'll be honest, I haven't where it says, you know, this isn't how I plan for my life to look like. You know, I read that and I tell you what, that put me into a really pensive spiral. It was deep, and at first I started to get a little down after reading it, and then I reread it again and go, that's not what it's saying at all. That's your interpretation. So I think I'm ready to get out of Dodge. I just need, I love my home. I'm grateful. I am in a good place, well taken care of, love my space. And you know how you start to get antsy and you just want to be gone. You don't even care where you go. You just want to pack up and be gone. So that, and I feel like I'm ready for something to come toward me that is a bigger project than the things I'm doing right now. And I don't know what that means yet, but I'm ready for something to show up because I got energy back. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, overall, I'm good. I was saying earlier before we started the recording, we're starting on a road trip tomorrow to see all the grandbabies, or not all of them, but the good chunk of them. And then we're back and it's less than a week. And then we've got the eclipse. And then the very next day we head out to Europe. So everything in my brain is focused on going and traveling and trying to figure out how to navigate all that stuff. You know, taking 3 suitcases for, 4 days in Austin, and I'm going to go for a month in Europe in 1. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work out, but playing with that. What's really, really interesting to me is that everything's feeling, and I think it has to do with the eclipse and maybe the solstice but for me right now, it's like the energy shifted in the last little bit. Probably for me, it started shifting when I was in Sedona. And then but it's like, it's landing new. It feels new. And opportunities are kind of coming. They've been lined up. But today I did a meditation for the 1 million meditators. It's on my Facebook page. And I'm like, oh, that felt good. And I haven't done those for a long time, especially live like that. I haven't done a live on Facebook forever and ever. And on Thursday night, I'm talking with the co-creators Convergence, which is somebody that I met when we were doing all the Barbara Marx Hubbard work, in 2010, 11, in that time frame. So I'm a guest on their 90-minute show. And so that feels really good. So both of those things, it's like, oh yeah, here's the new. Oh yeah, here's the new. And I talked to anyway, it just feels, I feel different. And that feels really good. And I feel like for the next, now till really the next 2 months, till the middle of May, once we're back and kind of settled a little bit, is just blank slate time. Like the seeds have been planted. So it's like that time between they're in the ground before they even start bursting. So it's like tending my only work, and I've cleared the calendar completely for this time. It's crazy. but it also feels like very important time. And I was so resisting it in January and February and even early March. I'm like, oh, I got no work. I'm like, oh, I have no work. How awesome is that? After fussing about it for months. So still hoping that there'll be some work when we get back in May, but regardless or not regardless, it will, anyway, all that stuff's moving. So we were playing in the group this morning, and the outcome of the group this morning was revelation of the unknown. Revelation of the unknown. And the way to access the revelation of the unknown and the outcome, both are just joy. Just joy. Joy, J-O-Y, joy, just joy. And then, I don't know, well, it wasn't right before that. It must have been during that. And it's like, oh, I feel, again, all this spaciousness for joy. Now, I will say this morning, I was all tied up in knots about something. So there's that too. But they're like, those things pass, right? It's just like, it passes. And then that post that Nancy, you were just referring to, that Kate posted in there about this isn't how we wanted it to look like. But yeah, there's a little piece of, we can be sad about that. But then I loved this part when the person asked, doesn't it make you sad? I asked the cloud. It used to, but not anymore. The cloud replied with a wrapping herself around me like a scarf. I don't think either of us were created to stay the same form our entire life. I'm not sure I can let go of my old life, I sighed. Oh, you simply must, because once you release what you used to be and embrace who you are meant to be now, something amazing will happen. What's that? You'll start to float. And that's the part that I kind of jumped into and onto. I'm like, oh, yeah. That revelation of the unknown, if we quit resisting it, will result in joy. Maybe. But I thought it would be fun to kind of play with that. Like if we just go in with, give me a revelation of something unknown. Right? And maybe it's a big project, and maybe it's a tiny little shift, and maybe it's anything in between. Maybe it's a tiny little crochet needle skate, or maybe it's bigger figurines. Like it doesn't matter what it is, right? And then I was working on my thing. It's kind of more like a workshop than a talk for Thursday night, and remembered that I saw this quote that says, the antidote to resignation is hope. Oh, that maybe could work, or that might work, or I can see this working. Like will bring a sense of hope. And oh, I know who was talking about it. Allison Armstrong, who you probably are not necessarily familiar with, but that whole, just that feeling into that revelation of the unknown feels to me like offering a glimmer of hope that opens up possibilities for our world, for our humanity, for whatever it is we're dealing with in our lives. So that meditation I did this morning on Facebook, if I'll post that in our group if you want me to. I'll post it in our group and you can watch it if you want. It's about 22 minutes total, and I talk for about 9 minutes and then meditate for about 11, something like that. So it's pretty quick and simple. And I'm noticing that I need to plug my Healy in because it keeps turning itself off. So let me grab the plug, the cord, and it's right here. So talk amongst yourselves how do you feel about revelation of the unknown? Insights, thoughts, comments, or something different? What do you want? What are we doing tonight as a collective? Can you feel into that? Does it feel good? Does it feel like an alignment, or do you want something totally different? Where are you at?
Revealing the unknown is always kind of a mixed bag of expectation as you view it from away. It's like, oh my God, is this going to be good or is this going to be challenging? You know, and yes, it probably is. So
Yes.
that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think certainly in the past, the unknown to me was terrifying. I would do anything in my power to stay away from the unknown. But in more recent times, it's more that place of infinite possibilities for me. That and the infinite possibilities also comes with the caveat that it's only good and better. Right? There's like that built-in sort of in my brain, but I've worked that for a long time.
I'm chuckling because some of the times I know that Steve's done that in the past, or we've done it. There is that gap time between when you shed, released, burned, sacrificed, made all that stuff, let go. And quite honestly, there were more occasions years ago where the aftermath was not fun. It was not. There was no joy in the falling apart or the crumbling. Now I think I can look at. It's because we're just in a different stage or something. The crumbling is not as frightening for me. I don't know about him. It's not as frightening because I have that history of remembrance within that there was nothing that was permanent or that we didn't overcome or pass through. So this new, I needed to kind of hear them because I came out of that reading and I needed to go back and read it again. I wasn't feeling real upbeat, but then I was watching the news and stuff, and I should never do that before a call. And it was like, okay, shed that, just shake that off, shake it off, not fake it off, shake it off, and open up that space again of so it was a long route to get to. I'm willing to do that. Thanks for traveling with me.
Well, I think going back to that first part and what you said earlier too, I think that there is a place to, whether it's grieve or whatever, that it's not what we thought it was going to be. I think there's a place for that too. A realization anyway. And I would guess for all of us, it's not exactly the way we thought it was going to be. Like, didn't see that one coming. I thought that would be different, right? So it doesn't preclude any of that stuff. It's just that the next or another place is that.
And I think you're saying that well. There's a little bit of that. Oh gosh, that was just an old pattern that says when I set up in a better evolving direction, like I don't think anything that I'm going through now is going to come along at all. Knowing it'll look different, feel different, experience different. It's just waiting to be whatever, and yeah.
Well, I'm up for it. Actually in this place of what do I call it? Well, excitement and enthusiasm about let's just us jump in and see. And knowing that I'm appreciating what Nancy was saying about the letting go and the surrender part, and but I guess I've just done that enough that I know there's another side. There's the other side, there is sometimes you have to go through the mud in order to get to the other side. Um, so it just, and actually what I'm thinking is it's actually part of my, how do I say this? It's part of what encourages me is knowing that there is the positive on the other end of it. So it's just, I'll wade through whatever I can find the pony. It's a joke that my spiritual teacher, John Roger, used to say all the time. It was like about this little guy who was in a barn, and he was like digging through cleaning out the manure, and he was like shoveling and shoveling and shoving, and somebody came in and said, what are you doing? There's no ponies in here. He goes, no, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm looking for the pony. With all this manure here, there's got to be a pony somewhere. And that's sort of how I feel like there's got to be a pony somewhere.
Yeah, it's like being willing to let go of the good for the greater.
Yes.
Which is not the same thing as grieving what is or what wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were unmuted. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. Okay.
You talking to me or to Nancy?
I thought I looked at Kate. I thought Kate was unmuted, but she
Okay.
wasn't. The other thing that occurs to me is that oh shoot. Oh, when I am grieving loss, like if I'm grieving what I wish was, it's usually some version of a white picket fence fairy tale. Right? What I hoped it maybe could have been. Like Rob and I were talking about Wimbledon the other day. He goes, I'm still mad at him. Well, they had a candidate this weekend, so we're kind of just looking at that going, isn't that curious? The whole thing was so curious. And he goes, I'm still mad at him. I'm like, well, yeah, but I didn't process this with him. He didn't need to do that. But what is it that we were grieving when the no was clear? An ideal of what maybe might have, could have possibly been that had very little thing in reality. Right? This fairy tale I was making up that included being close to the boys. And that part was real, but the rest of it wasn't apparently very real.
I'll say this quick because I know that we want to do a meditation, but I realized that, I always felt like most of my work was emotional or mental or spiritual, and physical has not been at the fore of my life journey to be something that held me back. So part of this is releasing the unhealed version of myself, if that makes sense, the part that I designate it's unhealed because it has healed. And now it's about leaning into, maybe that's where the hope and I do feel hopeful, but I'm not sure what I'm leaning into yet. It looks like the same form. It just doesn't feel like the same form. Nothing feels.
Reveal the unknown, right? The revelation of the unknown.
Totally, nothing's, I could fake it and say it could be familiar and something, but no, this feels like beamed into something I'm unfamiliar with right now.
All right, so let's so I recommend, because we did the gems last time, I recommend let's try the chakra program. We haven't done that in ages. Are we good with that? All right, so I'll start the analysis, see what that comes up with. And then because it's already almost 6, I recommend we do the 2:49, check in, and then we can do another minute or two, depending on how we are doing. Is everybody good with that? Rather than the 5 today. All right, the first one that comes up is throat, your power center, solar plexus, place of wisdom, crown, connection to higher realms, root, connection to ground, and sacral. So the only two, because it always comes up with 5, and there's 7 in the chakra program, is the heart and the third eye. So that says to me, our hearts are wide open and our third eye is also, right? We don't need any work on the third eye. How's that for a made-up story? All right, so we know that we are wondrous enlightenment. We know that we are open to a revelation of the unknown, to an insight, an impulse, a thought, a symbol, to some revelation of something that is up until now unknown. And we're also open to joy. So let's do 2 minutes and 49 seconds. We're just feeling into everything that we've talked about, feeling into that sense of floating, feeling into that new. And here we go. Take a breath in. Notice what you notice. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Steve, you had totally disappeared into the light. Lean back just a little bit. I wonder if that's what you were doing. Now maybe lean forward. And there you are, right? See, you're just gone in the light. Just disappeared. That's awesome. Very cool. All right, how was that?
Well, I think I'm coming and going, phasing in and out, so
Yeah,
with the light, so I got a nice strong connection to nature that time. Very 3D nature. I mean, like reaching out, touching plants and hills and stuff like that. And sometimes when I have visuals, they're very two-dimensional. They have just they don't have a lot of depth, but this definitely had depth. I could see curves and swirls and stuff of the ground I was in and around, and it felt good.
very cool.
I love it when we say that maybe two of the chakras are going to be left out. And immediately my third eye area popped in and went, who made that plan? Like that. I never know what's going on inside. And it's like, who made that plan? And next thing, what it did was it took over. The third eye area took over, engaged the heart, and said, look, we got to show the rest of these what we see.
Ah,
They're not seeing, they need to see what we see. And that's how the bus got ridden, through the rest of that. And it was very, a lot of topography, like Steve's talking about, and in light, and really moving through energy. It wasn't, it was just gentle, but awakened with that thought. Oh, we gotta lend some assist here.
cool.
I had a very, I'm laughing at myself because I had a very clear image of something strongly at the beginning. And then I went to La La Land somewhere and I have no recollection of what that was at all. And I don't know if I was asleep or I don't know. But then I was in La La Land for the whole rest of the time. So that's all I know. Maybe I was hiding behind Nancy's third eye somewhere, but I have no idea what that was. That's kind of funny.
Interesting, isn't it?
Well, I started out, oh gosh, let's see if I hope I can remember this now. Oh yeah, the beginning part was I was aware of my heart just opening. And so I was just aware of the heart opening. And then it went up to my crown, and the crown and the heart were like in alignment and moving like that. And then I just got into, it was like just, so okay, now what are we doing here? And the story about the pony that I just told came up, and I was thinking about the pony, and then it was like, oh yeah, this is the joy. It's like, oh, that was the thing about the boy, was like having so much fun. He's like, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere, and the looking forward to it, and the enthusiasm and the joy, and just makes me laugh. And it was like, oh, there's a joy right there. That was mine.
Very cool. Very cool. Mine was a sense of, did anybody see that Facebook post about the rocket that went off this morning? It was like You did, Steve? I just went to see if I could find it. I saw it twice, but I don't know who, I can't remember who posted it. But it was like this sphere, like kind of oblong thing, and it was really close to the horizon. And the top end of it was like this bright, bright light, and it was like this bubble. And that's what that lineup felt like to me. It was like, and yet what was inside of it was power, but it wasn't like, that wasn't the focus. It was more, it was spacious, it was powerful, but it was like a graceful, easy power. It was just, and it was filled with joy. And it just felt like we're in that. I'm gonna have to go find it. Or Steve, if you find it again, will you tag me or post it or something? Because it was really cool. It caught my eye twice, but I can't remember where it came from. All right, we have a few minutes. So you want to do 1 minute, which is 1:20, or 2:49? Okay. All right, we'll do the 1:20. So everything that we all experienced, and use that as the start point to just give us the next level of revelation of the unknown, or the joy. Here we go. Again, just a sec. And here we go. Take a breath. Notice what you've noticed. And how was that one?
Well, I got caught up in the story of the spaceship, and a story that I think I'd heard Neil deGrasse Tyson tell about how faster than light travel is not really moving yourself or your ship, but rather allowing space to move around you. And it kind of reminded me of the picture you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, that's just like,
Right?
right? Oh.
Well, I didn't really, I feel like I just got a lot of confusion. It was like, what do I want? What am I looking for? Where am I going? So revelation of the unknown, what's not the unknown? It was like all this kind of jabbering and the confusion that I find myself in a lot. So That was what it was. And then it was over. It was like too quick.
It flew, oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, Nancy.
it flew past, but I was going back in and kind of touching on the words joy and hope that had kind of been wrapped up before, and I thought, and just kind of sitting in those, not hanging on to them. And then this little fur thing was down on the floor, as the sound that only an unhappy cat could make.
Mm.
And it's like a baby crying. It's just absolutely, and I started laughing because half the time I want to just like string him up or put him in the garage or do something, that. And he's right at my feet. All he had to do was hop up here and sit beside him, which he did. But he's down there and he's doing his thing. And instead of getting into it, I just stood back for a bit and I thought, you know what? He's just sounding off all the distractions that come in through the day. He just amplifies it. All those little things that need to be looked at and let go of, and just what's the matter to yourself or to him. So he's my earthbound reminder of no matter what going forth, that I'm seeing it in my third eye, and it's very beautiful and glorious. There's that reminder that, yeah, there's always going to be something that goes where.
Always.
I'm just totally wrapped up now in the space that's moving around you from Steve. That's just kind of taken over everything. So I'm just going to be there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty profound. For me, immediately the heart and the third eye just lit up, and just there was a pulsing, and then everything, all the chakras came into alignment, and then I went collective with us, like, and it was like just lit up. Our group lit up, and then I went collective with all the other whatever groups, like the consciousness ones I'm in, but everything across the whole planet. And I just had this overwhelming sense of, we did it. All is well. It is done. We have turned this world out. And all I have for evidence of that is how it feels right now in this moment. But that's all I need. All right, you all, we are wrapping up. We have 2 more sessions, and then we're going to take a hiatus and then regroup sometime in May. 2 more. So mark your calendars and have a great week. Watch for baby pictures on Facebook if you care. Ignore them if you don't.
There's no ignoring.
Say it again, Nancy.
There's no ignoring. So
No, my friend Kara posted this. She's got a 7-month-old granddaughter, and she posts her all the time, and she's absolutely beautiful. And she posted today, she goes, just please ignore me. Just scroll past if you're tired of the post. That's gonna feel like that when I'm with the kids too. But here we go.
Have a great
Enjoy.
time.
Thank you.
Oh, well, we'll see. Never mind.
I'm gonna go take that nap that Kate wants to take.
All right. I love you all.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.